So who's there, Jamie? Hi, Griff. I love you.
Hi, Mom. I love you.
Yeah.
He said he upheld his bargain. His end of the deal.
Oh, shit.
He said straight up.
Straight up. So now I'm going to have to totally ditch this. He did this to me last time, so I'm not talking about what I thought I'm talking about.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You have President Roosevelt?
Gosh, I don't know what to call him. Hi, President. I don't know what to say. What does he like to be called? President Yeah. Cindy's singing him happy birthday like Marilyn Monroe. Hi. Thank you for coming.
He said it's always nice to be serenaded by blonde ladies.
Oh, okay. Never gets old? Not even on the other side?
He said it never gets old.
Okay, we'll look for you when we get there, buddy.
Raises his hand. Yeah.
Oh, that's so sweet. Huh? Oh, my God.
He's standing, but further out, maybe about 10 feet behind the camera. He has a really nice suit on. To me, it looks like it has too many buttons, like it's a little longer.
Right.
Onto the thighs instead of stopping like right below the waist.
Okay.
It's
just very formal, probably.
Very formal. I think he has like a vest on beneath it, like you can see layers.
But he crossed over in 1919. Is that right? 1919. I think so.
He smiles and says it was a while ago.
Yeah, that's probably why he's dressed like that.
He said, I hear you have a new passion, one that is home to my heart.
I do.
He said, this is not a new argument.
Okay.
This is decades long.
Okay.
Lots of movement in the room. He's talking about the NFL in United States of America being an empire in and of itself. He is also comparing it to today's pharmaceutical companies, to today's oil industry companies and gas companies.
Amen.
Of how they feel they can set their own law and not be held liable to the protection of humans, to the protection of our race and our earth. Along with addressing the NFL, it seems to be that I'm sorry, I don't hear you. Like, is that a requirement? It seems, along with addressing the NFL, it seems that your requirements of the changes needed will also require the entire nation to change with their belief for what football stands for. It is yet to be clear that the masses are viewing football as an art, when indeed it is a war. It is clear that people are entertained and often inspired, motivated, and invigorated by the athletes, but not recognizing the lives lost in lieu of the sport. By no means, in any job choice a human makes, should the end result be to sacrifice one's life. He said it's not expected of the factory worker, it's not expected of the lawyer, it's not expected of anyone to sacrifice their life for a job well done. With history and statistics behind us, we can now prove that the art of the sport, there's all these lights in the room all of a sudden.
I wonder why.
Other people are coming in.
Oh, wow.
I'm about to be really overwhelmed. Really overwhelmed.
NFL people. It's good, doesn't it?
Continue. With history and statistics behind us, we can prove that the lives lost for the sport conclude that the sport in and of itself is not safe, nor should it continue on this way. He said if we took the statistics for death and injury of NFL and compared it to death and injury of a make and a model of a car, you could bet the next year's model would have new safety features, would be completely redesigned to ensure the safety of the people.
Jamie, your face looks like you have a lot of people coming in.
There's a lot of people here. I don't know what to do.
Just do you. Beautiful.
Like I can't breathe.
Okay. They're just there for love and support, Jamie. It's okay.
Are they football players?
Are they football players, Jamie? Is that why they look extra big? Tell them you're just a baby girl. Sit down.
Get on your knees.
You're in a locker room now.
That's a lot of people.
I know. It's okay. What you're talking about is very passionate. These are people's dads that died for football that aren't here to take care of their kids. Imagine you lost your son to that game. They came because they heard you talking about it. And it's important. They all died for that game.
You guys have to back it up, okay? Thanks.
Okay.
I can't even count how many heads I'm seeing.
Oh, Jamie. It makes it too real for you, huh?
That's not cool.
I know.
I mean, if we hear about one story,
Right.
you know,
But you're the
Yeah.
beacon of light that will help change that, bring awareness. At least the kids today signing up should know what they're signing up for. These guys didn't know what they were signing up for.
These are from a long time ago, too.
Yeah, when just to educate the people that are watching, I didn't know myself, but when they had mentioned the president coming, correct me if I'm wrong, Mr. President, but you had made some changes. I didn't know there used to be literally deaths in football before the year of 1920 when the NFL started. In the Harvard colleges, Princeton, and a lot of them removed their teams because they used to just lock arms, I think, and headbutt. There was no forward pass at that time, and he came in and changed that. The president that you're talking to, Theodore Roosevelt, came in and changed that to move the forward pass to try to lessen these deaths in football. And he called them killing fields, a lot like gladiator days.
He's agreeing with you as you're talking.
Right.
He said they would carry bodies off the field.
Yeah. That was a rude awakening to me to read all that. I had no clue of that. And I was married to someone who played professional for 13 years. I had no clue of the history of that. All we ever feared was paralyzation. We never feared death or brain damage.
He's mentioning, he says, I'm listening. Thank you. He's inquiring that the people who are watching, that to please see a death that is 5 years, 20 years after the career, the same as a death on the field.
That's deep.
It was the amount of deaths on the field 1 year that he says, I was able to use to present to the coaches at the colleges to change the rules.
Mm-hmm.
Those statistics are now higher than what I was seeing, and yet still people are turning a blind eye. He says, I call upon the people to be heard. Now is the time to have loud voices and demands for the safety of people, for the safety of our athletes, for the safety of all of us. These are going to be trying times, teaching a nation to care rather than be observers. I thank you for allowing me to have this platform to speak to you today, and I'm inspired by what you are doing.
Thank you.
Please know that every time you stand up for this cause, you're standing up for all of them.
Oh my God, now you're going to make me cry. Okay. Well, my kids lost their father, even though he walks the earth, Mr. President. Yeah. He's walking here, but I don't know any other nicer way to put it.
Yes, ma'am.
And we didn't know what we were living with. And I saw the changes because we were together since teenagers, married more than half my life. And neither one of us knew. We kept going to counselors, and he kept having depression, and they would say it's seasonal, or it's this, or it's that, and like odd behavior. And we didn't know what it was.
He says no longer can we play ignorant.
Right.
We must really play the game with awareness.
Right. Okay, so I have a hard question for you then that has to be asked, because people are going to say we're trying to take down the NFL, and that is not my position at all. Is that your position? What is your position on the NFL?
I have a deep love and loyalty to the sport.
Okay.
And I have no interest in making it disappear.
Okay. I just wanted to make that crystal clear.
He says, I do stand for changing the game, changing the rules, allowing for a more clever game, a more strategic game, and less about force, brute, less about injury. He says if it can be changed once, it can be changed again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. There's a lot of talk about rugby and the equipment that football is played with being too strong and giving the false sense of you're a Mack truck. So you hit another person like a Mack truck. And that has a payment to be collected at some point in your lifetime. If it isn't collected on the football field that day, that Sunday afternoon, it will be collected, the price of that hit. So what would be some significant changes from where you view things, equipment, let's start with equipment, that could be changed, in your opinion? Now, you don't have to have a solid answer, but things that could be thought about.
He looks extremely pleased that you're even asking him for more information.
Oh.
Like, I think he was just going to come in and give a speech and leave, so he seems pretty excited.
No, I was like, when he said that, I said, thank you for having me. I was like, don't go anywhere. Don't go anywhere. Got questions. Yeah. We need your help. Yeah.
Some of his suggestions, he shows changing the hard encasement padding to impact gel padding, that firm upon impact.
Okay.
So it does not give the false sense of, as you are saying, a Mack truck. But it allows the man to feel his own strength and his own power, but protect him from actual impact.
Okay.
In my head, it looks really fitting. You know, I look like I'm just looking at strong men in uniform in jersey.
Right.
Jersey.
Yes, jersey. You're right.
I got the okay.
Okay, so let's move up to the trouble that we're really seeing is in the head and the helmet. We used to purchase special helmets for my young sons, Griffen, who's in the room with you, to play football with, because we thought they were better because they were Rydell. Well, I'm going to leave that out. They were the ones the NFL used, and they were protective, and turns out the brain isn't built like we thought. When it takes a hit, it really jars around like a egg yolk in water, bouncing back and forth. So what's your answer to that? Or is there an answer to that?
He said for this, the answer would be more within the style of impact, not the style of casing around the head. And he says there's not a gear, equipment that you could build that could shock absorb the way that we would need for the brain. Mm-hmm. But in changing the style of hits and hits taken would drastically improve these types of injuries.
So you see if the whole game is structured differently and taught more like a symphony dance and the art that it really is, and focus more on the teaching and the coaching style of football, the way the game is played, that the helmet that we wear today could be kept?
Yeah, but there's quite a bit of giggles when you launched into symphony and like it was an art, you know, it's some men here.
I feel that it's that way when you watch it sometimes. You guys don't feel that way?
I get some nods of the head, yes.
Everyone has to play together to have anything worth anything.
Yes.
And maybe we stopped focusing on that and went to individual players, like stronger, like you know what I mean? Maybe, I don't know what caused the concussions, because it was the players were getting bigger and stronger and faster. There were steroids, you had to almost do those things and find the edge in the vitamin store or wherever, because you were playing against that. And unfortunately, football's a game of you either hit or you are going to be hit.
I still see hitting involved.
Okay.
But you're right, the style of coaching, Mr. President is talking about you use the word the art of the sport, the strategic layout. So it's more of a mind game, almost like how you would at war behind the lines, would change the game of the type of hitting, the kinds of hits that are allowed and not allowed. And so when flags are thrown and when people are pulled off the fields, and the care provision provided after certain styles of hits would be quite necessary.
Okay. I remember watching my Eric Kramer play when he played for the Detroit Lions. He played against the Chicago Bears. I'll never forget it. That was his pivotal game to be chosen to come to the Bears or invited to come. He slowed the game down like a game of poker or chess. I couldn't believe it. It was beautiful, but it was slow, like kind of what I imagine he's imagining it to go to. It was the art of football. It wasn't It wasn't violent
Yes.
that day. It was fun to watch. It was exciting. It was just as gripping, but there were none of those brutal hits that I remember. I could be wrong about that, but that's the memory I took away from that day. That, wow, he slowed this game down like a card player.
He's saying correct.
Mm-hmm.
And he said the biggest challenge here are not what we've discussed, but in addressing the corporations, the companies, and the investors of NFL. Their reaction of fear of loss of viewers, fear of loss of money, which is what viewers are, right? And
which is what life is, Mr. President, right? Joke. It's a joke, guys. That's the problem. Let's talk about the elephant in the room.
yes, he said the observer is the problem.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that the NFL is run, the money is not distributed equally. He says the NFL is not taking care of the cities that it's living in. It's not taking care of the people around them. And he says this is part of a larger problem in other sports as well.
And I'm not sure if it's, other than formally some groups that have been formed, really taking care of the older gentlemen that built the game, that are still walking the earth in a lot of pain, when there were pennies to play, at most.
Yeah.
It's like a Hunger Games.
Yeah, like Hunger Games, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
He said, so this is going to be a long road.
Oh, yes, it is. And if I join you earlier than I was supposed to, you know why. He can laugh. I'm not scared to die.
He says, that's all right.
But I know
He
big
says, there's
corporations.
nothing to be afraid of.
Right, exactly.
Yes, big corporations don't want their power taken away, he says.
That's why I wanted to make it clear that you love football and you came today and everybody came today because they want to see some significant changes made. Their deaths weren't in vain. And come on, let's wake up and change this. We can have this. It may even turn out more beautiful to watch. Who knows? But you can't sit in fear.
I feel it will.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, how many deaths? Come on. It's getting gross at this point. Sorry, I don't have a better English word.
He's acknowledging that he wouldn't mind to come back at another time.
Okay.
And is, again, thanking you.
I can't promise I'll have a blonde here for him. Thank you.
Pulls his jacket down. He waves.
Bye. Thank you. Thank you.
Bye, everybody. Bye.
Wow.
You said, wow. Your son said, holy shit. And I'm looking at him like
did Griffin know that many people would come in?
What do we do now? No, he knew. He got the president to come in. That's sweet, right?
Right. I love you, Griff. Thank you. You okay, Jamie? Yeah.
All of the other people, that was not part of that was not your deal, right? Shit, fuck.
But it's like, liken it to, well, his car analogy too, but like, if you brought in all the people that died of an epidemic or something, it'd be overwhelming what you'd see.
Yeah, you don't get that viewpoint.
Mm-mm.
But you guys are going to look at it on paper. You're going to look at it in statistics. You guys have to see them all crammed into a space together to really.
Honey, we saw your face.
What
I
the
think
hell
we
is
get
going
it.
on?
Yeah. Like there's a crime going on here.
Yes, and I have never in my life ever plugged that together.